Hello everyone, welcome to our webinar. We're going to give it a few minutes and allow everyone to be joining us tonight. Thank you for being with us.
Let us know in the chat box who's there. We've got quite a few people registered this evening, which is great to see.
Great.
Where's the chat box? There we go. Hey Tracy, congratulations on you're getting ungated today in 2 categories, which is great to see. There we go, now I can see everyone now. Who we got, Steve? Monica?
Loads of familiar faces, good to see you all. So we've got Anna,
hey, Roger.
Azar, Bart, Ben, David, Fiona, Mike, Margaret, Stephen, Reese, Phil, Oki. Cool. Let's keep up. Yep, a few more people are coming in now. Let's give it maybe another minute or two and then we're going to start. So this session we're doing is only for those who have purchased the Arbitrage Expert Blueprint course. So hopefully you're all up to speed. Hopefully you've all completed the modules. So this is not a shortcut for not doing the modules. I'm going to go in headmaster mode. And yeah, we thought basically let's get together with everyone who's purchased the course and go through a few refreshers and of course answer any questions you might have. So this is not a usual webinar that we're doing. We just want to do it to really offer some good service to you guys because you are our customers and we want to make sure that you get the most out of our training, but also that you take action and that you go live on Amazon and start making money and get the money back out from that investment as well. So from all the profit you're going to make, we want that to cover for your training and of course generate a lot more profit. Should we get started?
Yeah, let's go. Let's kick off.
Ready, Teddy?
Yeah,
Perfect.
go for it.
So it's a short presentation, but we're going to stay on and answer any questions you might have as well. If you have any questions, just put them in the Q&A box and then we'll answer them as well as we go through. So welcome everyone. As I said just at the beginning, this is for anyone who has purchased the Arbitrage Expert Blueprint course before. And we thought we'd do a session tonight to really help you with any questions you might have, any challenges you might have, and also help you get a refresher on the various topics that we've covered in the course. So we've not reproduced the course in this presentation, but we will try and cover broad strokes. So what we want to cover tonight is really 4 key things. First, account setup. So if you've not got an account set up yet, we're going to try and clarify that. We'll look at the tools and resources that you're going to need to set up. Many of you, when you bought the course, if you were part of the first 10, you got a call with myself and Tadie. And these are questions that we get a lot. So what tool should I get? And should I buy everything or not? And then we'll cover sourcing and analyzing. So we'll do a refresher on Keeper, how to read a Keeper graph, because the goal really is when you analyze a deal, you should be able to see within 15 seconds if you have a deal in your hands or not. So right now, if you're taking more than 15 seconds, that means you need a bit more help. So we're going to spend some time on that and refresher tonight. And finally, we're going to talk about ungating. So many of you, like Tracy, has just posted on the Facebook group today. Congratulations. She's been ungated in 2 different categories. So if you've not done that yet, that should be a target for you as well, because we're already in May. Hate to say the word, but Christmas is coming. And that means that the sales are going to go crazy in the 4th quarter of the year. So October, November, December is when your sales are probably going to be 4 times more than your usual sales. So ungating should be on your horizon as well. So let's start with account setup. Just before I go into that, who has got, or maybe who has not got an account live yet? Put that in the chat box right now. Who has not got an account live on Amazon?
There's a few coming through, Steve.
Okay, so a few of you. And if you don't have an account yet, this is a good reminder. If you have one, let's make sure that we've got the right steps that you've followed. First, the question we get, and already somebody asked that question, should I have a limited company or should I go in as a sole trader? Then we'll look at opening the business bank account and create a professional seller account, and then work with an accountant. So these are the steps we recommend in terms of this is the order you should do. Limited company or sole trader, big disclaimer, we're not accountants, so we can't give you financial advice. It really depends on your personal situation. So are you in a salary bracket where when you add your Amazon income, it's gonna put you in the next bracket up, so you're gonna pay a lot more tax? Or are you currently self-employed, or do you have other limited companies in different fields? So that will help you make that decision, and that conversation should be had with an accountant. Our accountant, the advice we got was that from a tax perspective, it's more beneficial if you have a limited company because the taxation rate is lower. And also it's limited to the company, hence the name. So if anything goes wrong, it's not personal liability, it sits in the company itself. So if you're thinking, I want to make a real business out of this, I would say start with a limited company right away. If you already have started as a sole trader, that's fine. You can always move up to a limited company. It's a bit of a hassle. It could take some time, but there's nothing stopping you from doing that. So that's something you can definitely do when you set up your account.
Steve, just a quick one on that, because I got an update actually from the accountants today on another email that I'd sent them for our company. They actually said that the changeover between sole trader and limited company at the moment is around about 12 weeks. They have had
with
clients
Amazon.
Yeah, so if you start as a sole trader and then you wish to change the legal entity across, it is currently 12 weeks plus. So just bear that in mind, what Steve said. You don't want to be in that situation come Q4 where you decide actually just before Q4 I want to change the legal entity, so from sole trader to limited company, because if you reach, or there isn't an exact income that they've stated, but between 10 to 15,000 in sales, and that's not per month, that's in total. If you've reached that threshold in sales since you started your account and you then go through and try to change from sole trader to a limited company, they may suspend your account and stop you selling until they've verified your details and then change that legal entity. So you don't want to be in a situation come Q3, Q4, where you can't sell for that period of time. So really do think about it. If you haven't set your account up yet, you know, you're going to make this work. You've seen Tracy and a lot of other people, Jeanette, lots of people posting their sales results. So get the advice, and I'll put a link in the chat box, but make sure you kind of take the right steps to set up correctly.
Yeah, and also at the same time, this is when you're going to want to think about opening a business bank account. Again, you could set up with a personal bank account, but as soon as you get a limited company, you need to have a business bank account, and make sure that the details in your business bank account match the details you've put in company's house for your limited company. And that needs to match also the information you put into your Seller Central account. So it needs to be literally exactly the same information, because the way that Amazon functions, they usually have a computer doing the thinking first before a human being does it. So if there's any difference, it's going to flag it up as rejected without really an obvious. So make sure that all the information is consistent across the three. So limited company, business bank account, and Seller Central account. So when you create your Seller Central account, we want you to have a professional seller account. Some of you have told me that they've got an individual seller account. Of course, you can sell with an individual seller account, but the maximum transaction is, I think, 35, and they charge 75 pence per transaction. So if you do, not if, but when you get to 35 transactions, that's £26.25 already. So you will have met the same cost as a professional seller account, which is £25 plus VAT. So it's worth doing that. And if for whatever reason your account is open, let's say for 3 months, and you've not sent any products or you've not sold anything, that £25 plus VAT per month, you can get it back from Amazon. So it's worth setting up as a professional seller account right from the start. Don't start with individual account, because also it's going to tell you a lot about your mindset. If you set up as an individual account, it's probably because you're not sure if it's going to work. You're having a go. And that kind of mindset means that you're not determined and you don't believe that you can succeed. So you have to think, I'm going to make this work, and take the right steps from the start to make it work. And as Tadie said, you want to talk to a specialist accountant. And we recommend the one that we use. They're called Passive Tax. And they are accountants who deal with Amazon businesses. So they understand the intricacies of a Seller Central account. They'll be able to do your company accounts, but also they'll be able to download the right reports for them to get the information in terms of what costs, what fees you've been charged, what kind of tax you've been charged by Amazon, VAT on services. So they'll be able to do all of that because they understand how the Amazon seller account works. I've worked with my property accountant on my Amazon business, and they really didn't understand how it worked. For them, it was, oh, I'll just look at your bank account, money in, money out equals the profit, and I'll get you taxed on that. But there's so much more that you can do with it. And a specialist accountant who will be able to help you save money by paying less tax in a legal way, of course, but they will be able to allocate some expenses to your business that maybe a regular accountant won't be able to understand. The second thing is about tools. So once you're live on Amazon, the next question is always going to be, where am I going to find my deals? So I always take a step back and think you have to be smart. It's not, with an e-commerce business, it's not about working hard and working long hours. It's about being smart and putting the right tools in place right at the beginning. So like when you make an omelette, you have to crack some eggs. We all know that expression. It's the same in business. So when you set up a business, you need to be willing to invest in the right systems to start with to make sure that it's going to work from the start. Tadie, you have to remember that time where we were talking and I was online on the Argos website with 26 tabs open. And I was telling Tadie, I can't find anything. It's because if you try and do all of it manually, it's going to take so much time that it's better to pay someone else to do it for you. So questions like, what is my target? How much time do I have? When and where will I source my products? How will I find my deals? How much money do I have to invest? These are all questions that we all ask each other when we start in a business like this. So if you're asking yourself those questions, it's normal because we've all been there. And that's the beauty of the community that we've created in our Facebook group, for example, is that we all go through the same steps. So that's why if you have any questions, just don't hesitate and ask those questions in the Facebook group, because we've all been there. We've all had the same challenges, the same hurdles, the same frustration with Amazon and Seller Central account. So you use the community to really support you and answer your questions. Don't let a question fester for days, because you might lose motivation, life is going to get in the way, and you might not do anything on your business for a week, and that's going to hurt. So you keep feeding the beast by sending more products every week so that you get to your target. So in terms of tools and resources, the target is a key for me. You need to have a clear target, because if you don't measure your results, you can't see if your business is successful or not. So set yourself a clear target. I know there's the dream, but what's the first target going to be? Before we shoot for £50,000 profit a month, that's very possible. But what are we going to do first? What's going to be our first step? Because you need small steps to prove to yourself that the model works. Because both Tadie and I were very skeptical at the beginning. Is this going to work? That looks too good to be true. But if you set some clear target from the beginning, then you'll be able to achieve that. Then you want to look at where your deals are going to come from. Because if you want to get to, let's say, £1,000 profit a month, you might need to send in 100 units a week. So where are these going to come from? If you want to make £10,000 profit a month, that's a lot more units you need to send to Amazon every week. So where is this going to come from? Then you need to get really, really good at analyzing deals. As I said, if you've got 100 units you need to ship every week, that means you're going to have to look through a lot of deals to decide if you're going to purchase that from a website or not. And finally, look at your pricing. So are you pricing competitively in the UK or in Europe? And how are you doing it? Are you doing it manually, or are you using a software? So we're going to cover that now over the next few slides. First, set a clear target. What do I mean by that? Let's say we want £1,000 profit. For £1,000 profit, we assume that most products will bring on average £3 profit. Some of them will be a lot higher, some of them will be lower. But if you take an average of £3 profit, that means you need to sell every month 333 units. So what I've done there is 1,000 divided by 3 is 333. So if we need to sell 333 units, that means that if you do that times 12 months divided by 52 weeks, it's 77 units that you need to sell every week. So we're not going to ship 77 units and sell 77 units instantly. So the factor we use is usually what you send in, 80% of it will sell fast and 20% might take a bit longer. Again, that's an average, that's a rough generalization, but if you apply an 80% to this, that means you need to send in 96 units per week. So what I did is basically 77 divided by 80% gives me 96 units. So you can see that to make £1,000 profit, I need to send in 96 units per week. As you know, we recommend to buy 3 to 5 units for each. So it's between 15 and 20 different products at 3 to 5 units each that you need to send in every week. And you can use that as your gauge, your measurement every week. So if you know that you've sent in 70 units, you know you're down 26 units that week. So you need to send more the following week. So always keep track of what you're sending in, and then you'll know if something is working or not. One of our students in the academy, Hayden, said that he had taken a break and he didn't source anything for 2 weeks. And that's fine, you can do that, it's your business. But now he's paying the price because he's thinking, why am I not making many sales at the moment? It's because you didn't source for 2 weeks. So if you're gonna take a break like that, make sure that you're gonna make it up the following weeks to come back to that average of your weekly target. As you know, many of you are already members of FBA Deal Source. This is a deal service that Tadie and I created. And the reason why we created this is that we were buying other people's deal service and we were frustrated because we would find a deal, it would look good, and then overnight send the product to Amazon. And shortly thereafter, there would be 25 people selling the same product. And that's because they were sharing the deals with too many people. So we thought, okay, we've had enough of this. Let's create a deal service where we're not going to share with more than 10 to 12 people. That's it. If we have more customers, we'll just create more deals for these customers. But each group of customers will only have access to these deals. And it's not going to be 60, 80 people getting the same deal every day. So this is a deal service where we offer a minimum of 6 deals per day, and it's 7 days a week. So we have a very strict list of criteria that we ask our virtual assistants to go through, and all the products that end up on the deal source have been already filtered. So they are pre-selected for you, but you still need to do your due diligence, because I might be buying a product and you might look at it and think, oh, I'm going to buy 5 of this, or I might buy 3 of this. Or you might say, no, I'm not going to buy this one because I don't think it's good enough for my criteria. So I'll buy the next one. And that's across all categories as well. So there's a mix of products so that it caters for everyone. So for advanced sellers who have been elongated in toys and games, for example, but also across all the other categories. So we try and give a good mix so that every day you get a good selection. And over your 7 days, you definitely have a wider selection. At the moment, I would say the average is about 12 to 14 deals per day, even though it's a minimum of 6. At the moment, we're getting a lot more deals than 6 every day. So you pay the same price, but you get a lot more deals every week. In addition to getting the deals, so if you're getting those 42 deals minimum per week, you're going to need to spend time to do your due diligence, review them. We recommend a tool called FBA Multitool. So FBA Multitool is basically a Chrome extension that sits on your desktop. And when you go and visit an Amazon page, it will do the analysis for this product. So it looks like this, and these are the different features. So there's an Fba Calculator. So it tells you all the key calculations you need. So the return on investment, the profit. It also has a sales estimator. So it tells you how many units this product sells on average every month. It checks the bestseller rank. So bestseller rank is basically the rank that the product has in comparison to all the other products in the category. It also tells you if the product is hazmat or not. And if a product is private label as well, because in arbitrage, we don't want to sell private label products because you could be issued an IP violation. So you want to stay away from these private label products. You can also export the deals that you find, because if you are buying a lot of products, you'll want to start systemizing the way you collect this information. So you can export the information you found on your analysis on Amazon straight into a Google Sheet. And also you can have the price of the other European marketplaces. So if you look at the bottom of this picture, you've got the different flags, and it tells you what the product sells for in those markets, but also their bestseller rank. So in this example, you see this product sells at £97.23 in the UK with a rank of 6,266. But in Germany, the rank is 649. So a smaller number means a lot more sales. So this product sells a lot more in Germany than in the UK. And if you click on the flag, it takes you to Amazon in that country. So this is a tool where you can definitely analyze deals really quickly. Also, they have equivalent of Keeper. So it's the same style as Keeper. It's interactive graph. They go and get the same data as Keeper do, but there are less functionalities. But for someone who's starting, this is a good alternative to Keeper. So if you say, I only want to invest in a deal service and in a tool to analyze the deals, I would say FBA Multitool is great with the interactive graph as well, because it gives you a history of the price and the bestseller rank as well. So both for FBA Deal Source and FBA Multitool, we've put the links in the chat box. So make sure to copy those links over, and some discount codes as well. So we've negotiated with FBA Multitool, you get a 10% discount when you use the code that is in the chat box right now. And then there's Keeper. If you've been through the training, you know that this is a tool that you can't really live without. It's really to monitor the sale history of this product from a selling price point of view, but also a performance point of view. So how's the rank compared to other sellers and competitors? And the key thing as well is it's going to tell you if Amazon is selling the product and if they are sharing the buy box. So Keeper used to be a free tool, and now it's 149 euros per year. So it's a flat fee, 149 euros per year, and it gives you access to most products. Some categories don't always have the information, like in electronics sometimes, or photography, sometimes there's no ranking on it, but most products on Amazon are showing results for the Keeper graph. And Tadie's going to spend a lot more time on the Keeper section coming up to really look at graphs and analyze them, and look at some new features as well that have been released recently. And the last one is about your pricing. So once you've acquired the products, you send them to Amazon and they're live on Amazon, the prices will fluctuate because it's going to depend on how many competitors you have. It's going to depend what product you're selling, and also which market you're selling in. So when you only have a few products in the warehouse, it's easy to do that manually. So you could go in every few hours and check your price and maybe increase it or decrease it. But what you want to do is just invest in the software. And the one we use is called EU Essentials. And that basically monitors the price of your products 24/7 across all markets. So if you sell across the 6 European marketplaces, UK, Germany, France, Italy, Spain, and the Netherlands, Amazon will basically connect to EU Essentials, and EU Essentials will adjust your price up or down. So you tell the software what is your minimum price and your maximum price. And if all the FBA sellers have a price war and they go below your threshold, the software will stop there. So you're not going to follow them in that race. And once this is in place, it will monitor how many competitors there are, what's their price, and you will be pricing against them within those parameters, within the minimum and the maximum that you've set. And that works across all marketplaces. Again, this is a tool that we use, we highly recommend it, and it really is going to make a big difference in your sales, because all of a sudden, on a constant basis, your price will be adjusting to be competitive. One really important point about pricing is that it's not the cheapest product on Amazon that gets the sale. And many of you have asked that question in the past. If a product is live on Amazon, it's not because they're going to be the cheapest one that Amazon will give them the buy box and they're going to get the sale. So it doesn't work like that. So products could be at £22, at 26 and 28, and the buy box will be in rotation between those sellers. The one at 28 will sell at 28 when they get the buy box. They don't need to come down to £20 to get the sale. So that's really important. So don't worry about dropping your price, because that's not what will give you the buy box. Again, EU Essentials, we'll put the link in the chat box. Make sure to save that. And also we have a list of tools on our website. So if you go to our website, onlinesellercircle.com/tools resources, you'll have a list of all the tools that we recommend there. So we try and keep that list as up to date as possible and add new tools as we discover them. And this is really to give you a good idea of what you can use when you start with your business. You don't need to get all the tools, because sometimes when you start, you think, well, I'm going to get all the tools I need. But I would say focus on the ones that we're recommending: Deal Service, Repricer, FBA Multitool, Get an Accountant. This to start with is what you're going to need. Moving on, you'll need to start thinking about the prep center, for example, because you'll have too many units to handle yourself, probably too many units to fit in your house, depending how well you're doing and how big your house is. But also after that, you'll want to think virtual assistant. So I need to get my own VA to source my own deals and grow my business. But these are really the steps we recommend, and in that order. So don't worry about getting a virtual assistant just yet if you're not live on Amazon, or if you've just opened up your account. Get a deal service, get your deals in, start selling, and then start scaling after that. How's the pace, Tadie? Is that good?
Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
Cool. Next section, I think it's over to you, Lady Hampshire-Haig.
Is just to answer a few questions just before we go into some sourcing and kind of analysing with Keeper. So Tracy said that it's €15 per month also for Keeper, or Steve mentioned it's 149, I think, euros per year. Interestingly, that it used to be a free tool, and I think it was coming up for a year ago now that they introduced the pricing. Naughty them. But just a tip for you, it is a tool that is constantly developing. There's new features which we'll cover in this next section. So if you have the funds available to pay for the 12 months up front, I would strongly advise you do so, because once you've paid for that upfront, you've got 12 months where you've got access. So if they then release more features and they push that monthly fee up, if you're paying monthly, you're potentially going to have to pay a higher price. So at least locks it in for a 12-month period. And it's an absolutely vital tool, like Steve said as well. Second question is from Phil regarding printers. And we get this question an awful lot. Me and Steve also have kind of, it's a running joke debate on Dymo or laser printer. So just to kind of put it out there, obviously we cover this within the AB course. Ideally, a laser printer is all you need. The reason why we say laser over DeskJet is because, or inkjet, if they still make those, is because you're putting a shipment label on the outside of your box. If that box is left in the rain or something happens, especially if you're not using a sticky label and you're just taping the shipment label to the side of the box, it could rip, it could become damaged, or the ink could be smudged by the time it gets to the fulfillment center. And what they need to do is they need to be able to have a readable barcode so they can scan it. But also from UPS's side as well, there's a UPS section and obviously a fulfillment section. So each independent third party needs to be able to scan that. So that's why we suggest a laser printer. If you wanted to, if you're a bit of a tech gadget king or queen and you wanted to get a Dymo printer, which is what I used to use when I used to do the prepping, you absolutely can do. The Dymo, which is still sitting next to me here, Label Writer 450, that is the cheaper of the two. That will just do your F&SKUs and it will print them on a roll. So you'll need to get a roll of labels. The best size is 36 by 86 mil. So make sure you've obviously got them. you can actually get cheaper rolls of Dymo label printers off eBay rather than actually buying the Dymo brand labels. They're a lot cheaper. And obviously you never have to because it's a heat. Steve, what is it? It's I can't remember exactly what it does, but you don't have to change the ink on it. So once you bought it, all you're doing is just putting the labels in. Thermal printer, that's what it is.
Thermal printer, yeah.
If you wanted to get a Dymo and not use a laser at all, you could get the XL, and that's the bigger one. They're a bit more expensive, but if you have a shop around on eBay, you could probably pick up a refurbished one or a second-hand one, and that will do shipment labels in a small kind of size, around about this size, as well as your F and SKUs. So it's really kind of what works for you. Some people like Dymos, some people don't. I love Dymos, Steve doesn't, but yeah, whatever works. But also when you're first starting out, remember, don't go out or online at the moment and buy kind of all, you know, the biggest gadget and sign up to all of the tools. Really kind of look at minimizing your costs. Even if you're prepping, where can you get boxes free rather than you buying them and getting them delivered? I know that might be a little bit difficult at the moment, but you want to try and keep your costs down as much as possible and ensure that you've got enough to pay for the tools that we suggest, those top 3, but also you've got as much money as possible to put into the business and into your products as well. So I hope that helps. Anyone who's got any other questions on that, just pop them in the Q&A section and we will cover them as we go through the training. Just also,
a quick one, Tadie. Charles asked about the buy box. So he said, what determines who gets the buy box then? So basically it's based on quite a few factors, but Amazon doesn't tell us exactly, and they don't tell us how long you get the buy box for, but it really depends on the quality of your account. So do you have a good account health, as they call it? Do you have positive feedback? And are you an FBA seller versus FBM? So if you've got really a good account health, you got some good positive feedback or no negative feedback, then you'll get the buy box in preference to other sellers that might not have good customer feedback. So that's how it's determined, and it's going to go in rotation. But they don't tell us how much time. So it's not whoever gets the buy box keeps the buy box until they're out of stock. It goes in rotation, and very often, like very recently, I was selling a Bioderma, I think it's a makeup remover product or something like that. And I was sitting on about 9 items that were not shifting. And overnight, they've just gone. Because everyone else was out of stock, I've got the buy box and then they've just gone. So you never know when you're going to get the buy box. But usually, if you've done your research right, it's going to go quickly. And your competitors very often won't have a lot of stock, because we recommend 3 to 5 units. So if everyone around you have got 3 to 5 units and the product sells thousands every month, everyone's going to be out of stock really quickly. So the buy box will go in rotation, but it's not based on the price. Unless someone's got, if the product's selling for £15 and you're priced at £75, you probably won't get the buy box because it's just silly. But if you're within parameters, the rumor on the street is 10% over or below the average price, but again, there's no official rules on that. So hopefully that helps.
Cool. Just one from Jess. Anyone else that's contacted Passive Tax since, so that's our recommended accountant. So I did put the link within the chat. Anyone that has contacted them and hasn't heard back, they have been inundated with those that we have recommended to them. One thing I would say is that having our link and going through that and adding your contact details will get you on the waiting list. They are at the moment where when we last did an interview with Mark, he said they were very busy, but because we've got that partnership with them, as long as you use that link, they will get back to you. It's usually kind of 7 days from the time that you contacted them. So if you have and you haven't heard back, please wait for that period of time. And if not, then you can obviously reach out to them. But also, please only get in contact with them if you're ready. So if you're ready to take on an accountant and obviously use their bookkeeping service as well, I thoroughly recommend them. It's an absolute dark art, Amazon accounting, and they can obviously put you in the right direction from a sole trader limited company if you're still not there yet as well. And they do free consultation calls for clients as well whenever you need to have a chat with Mark or the team as well. So that's great. One more question with regards to Ben's asking about insurance. So what insurance do you guys have in place to operate an arbitrage business? I actually don't. Steve, do you have an insurance policy?
I don't. No, I used to have one for my private label business because then the liability is with you. And because you're reselling products from other manufacturers, then the liability would lie with them. And because Amazon does your fulfillment, then if there's anything that happens during transport, it's their responsibility. So you could, I guess, get a limited liability insurance policy, but I would say the risk with an arbitrage business is very low, so you won't necessarily need that.
Yeah. One more question. OK said, being a newbie, we may not get the buy box as we do not have checkable data. No, that's not true. As long as you kind of price wisely. I mean, it depends on the product as well, how many competitors are on the listing. If you're actually the only FBA seller and you've got a good clean bill of health in terms of your metrics, you've just started out and you are obviously selling through FBA, there's no reason, as long as you don't price silly, there's no reason why you wouldn't achieve that buy box. And hopefully I'll cover a lot more of those questions that you might have when we go through the keeper section. So let's kick off. So a lot of you on the next slide may have seen this slide within the Arbitrage Experts course. We're going to dive a bit deeper. And actually I was on a call with someone last night who I said, when you're analysing products, you want to ideally go back through that training, also write as many notes as possible as I go through these slides this evening, because we're going to take a deeper dive into and hopefully answer as many questions as you have. Keeper is an amazing tool, and it's really important that if you are finding it difficult to read those graphs, keep at it. I remember when I first started, I'm not mathematical at all. I even struggle doing sums on a calculator. Graphs were alien to me, and I kind of made it it was my nemesis, Keeper, really, but I made it so that I would become an absolute expert in it. And I can now read a Keeper graph within around about 4 seconds to determine very quickly whether or not I want to buy that product. And I'm training my VAs up, my senior VA up, to get to that level. So they're spending less time analysing and actually more time purchasing stock and helping me to kind of run the business. So let's just recap on the 5 stages. So we've got our analysis, I can't get my words out today, process. So the first one, when you're looking at products, so this is after the sourcing stage. So whether you source your products from retail arbitrage or online arbitrage, you want to make sure first and foremost, does that product match? Because if that product doesn't match and you send it into Amazon, you might get a slap on the wrist, or you may get a customer, if they don't spot it, a customer complain, a return, and then you've got a bit of admin that you need to sort out. And equally, it might mark you down negatively as well on your account. So always make sure whenever you're sourcing that it's the same version, it's the same model, it's got the same packaging. If it comes as a main product and then something that comes free, make sure that wherever you're buying that from is exactly the same, again, size and weight. So you've got all the information available to you on the retailer's website if you're doing online arbitrage. If you're obviously in person sourcing the products, hopefully in due course will be allowed out to the shops again, just making sure that you're looking at the product and it's absolutely correct and matching what the listing says. So the second one is, does the product sell well? And this is in relation to the best selling rank. And this will be indicated on the Keeper graph. And you have a number for every product that has sold. So if you ever come across a product that doesn't have a BSR number, so a sales rank number, and you also can't see a green line on the Keeper graph, which we'll go through in a second, you know that that product has not sold. It's listed, but it's not sold. And arbitrage is all about making sure that we're piggybacking listings that are selling. We don't really want to risk buying stock for something that we haven't sold before and isn't selling on Amazon. And that's kind of what you do with private label. The third one is, does the deal stack up? So if you're out and about using the Amazon app, or if obviously you're on your desktop and you're doing online arbitrage, making sure that you're using a deal analyzer like the FBA Multitool, and you're checking the data. You're using Keeper as well to check the data in terms of, does it stack? Is it profitable? What are you buying it for? What are you selling it for? And what could you potentially sell it for if it's higher? Because you can always hold out on selling a product and actually capitalize on the higher price. And then what's your ROI and what is your profit? You also need to factor in any transit fee So how many units are you getting in a box, and approximately what's the cost of that box over the amount of items you've got in that box. We usually say, a rule of thumb, it's about 25 pence per unit that goes inside a box. But also, what's your prepping costs? If obviously you're prepping at home, you might want to factor that in. But again, the kind of labels that you're going to be using in your labour time, whether or not you want to factor that in on a spreadsheet, you can do. Our suggestion is to do it once, know exactly what the process is, and then get it outsourced to a prep centre as soon as possible. And you'll then be told and informed what that prep fee will be per item plus VAT. So that's actually what you can build into the FBA Multitool. So when you're analysing products, once you've added in your prep fee and the transit fee, when you're clicking that calculate button, you can actually work out the worst case and the best case scenario in terms of ROI and profit, and that's encompassing all the fees that you need in order to sell that. So a great tool that you can do and that you can use. The fourth one is about historic data, and this is where Keeper comes in and comes into its own, really. So we want to understand how long the product's been listed for, and you can see that for its lifetime using Keeper. But also we want to look at the historic sales data. So what was the price within the last month? What's it been? Has it been consistent, or has it been up and down? And we're seeing quite a lot of that during this pandemic at the moment, where it was probably low and it's skyrocketed really high. And there's products that are really high in price and are getting great sales because there is so much demand there. But it's really looking at, okay, what in the last month, how many sales has it had, but then also over the time. Because if you're looking at products that actually you could buy now at cheaper price, but you can make an absolute fortune selling them in Q4, if you've got the space at home or even at the prep centre that you're using, you might want to buy in bulk, obviously using our recommendation quantity, and actually hold out and wait until Q4 comes around and actually sell those products at a higher price, and obviously getting more profit back as well. Now that depends on the amount of capital you've got, so just kind of factor that in. And the fifth and final one is competition. So making sure we're looking at the competitors. Now you're selling through FBA, so your main competitors are FBA sellers, unless there's FBMs with a prime badge, and there are some on certain listings. But you're looking at how many competitors are on the listing as FBA sellers, and also what are their stock levels and what are their prices, and that will then allow you to kind of gauge where you come in at from a price perspective. But also you can also gauge with the Multitool. It tells you how many sales that item is actually achieving per month, and you can actually count the stock levels using Keeper. If you've got the settings turned on, for each competitor that's on that listing, you can count how many units they've got and work out approximately, if they all went out of stock, what the price would be in X amount of months. So we'll go through that in a bit more detail. So let's look at historic price and obviously sales rank. Now, as I said, this tool is absolutely essential. The deal analyzers, if you're using the BuyBot Pro or the FBA Multitool, they do have an inbuilt graph that looks similar to Keeper, but there's so much more features and functions and useful information that you can get from both Keeper.com as well as the Keeper graph. So that's why we thoroughly recommend that you get hold of it if you haven't yet already. So let's take a deeper look and use this graph as an example. Who has started analysing products and has found Keeper to be a bit of a struggle to kind of understand with all the different colours and whatnot? Give me a yes in the chat box if you're finding it a little bit difficult. Tracy says she is, but you're doing fantastically well with your sales, so you're definitely doing something right. So we've got a few people that saying yes. So hopefully after this evening, you'll be able to understand it a lot better. So why does historic sales and the price matter? Basically, because if you've got an item that is selling on Amazon, let's say for £59 right now from a third-party seller, and obviously it's being sold last week by Amazon for a cheaper price. If Amazon are then currently temporarily out of stock, which often we've seen quite a lot of recently, that's really critical to know, because we want to know if Amazon was on the listing and they weren't sharing the buy box, but they're now out of stock and that price has gone up because other FBA sellers on that same listing have capitalized on a higher price and there's still sales there. You want to know about that, because really that's where you want to get your stock in and try and get a piece of the pie and obviously make some great profit. And I say great profit, be obviously ethical during this time that we're experiencing at the moment. But still, there's so many products out there that you can buy and you can resell whilst still maintaining a kind of ethical, moral pricing strategy as well. So using the graph to ensure whether or not Amazon are exactly on the listing. And in this example, you can see the key on the right hand side, where you can turn on all of the toggle boxes. We've currently got the new listing price on there. We've got the sales rank. We've got the third party and the buy box turned on, but interestingly, Amazon's not there. So we know at the moment, Amazon's not selling this product. And if we were actually looking or wanted to see whether they ever were on this listing, we could then scroll between the different time frames, which you can see in the bottom right. So we could look at this product across all its lifetime, which is 1,470 days. We can look at the last year to see what it was selling for this time last year, and we can look at the last 3 months and the last month. So really, for my targets, for my team, I'm looking at a minimum of 5 sales within the last month, but also making sure there's consistency there with the price, and equally with the sales rank as well. So remembering, the lower the sales rank, the faster the seller, category dependent. The higher the sales rank, the slower that product sells. And hopefully everyone's kind of grasped that within the training that they've gone through. So we can see here, if we analyze this graph in a little bit more detail, that the blue line, which is the lowest listed price, which is usually the lowest price of the competitor or the other reseller on this listing, and that usually relates to FBM sellers. You've then got the pink triangles, which are the buy box, which are in reference to you and I, so that's our FBA sellers. And you can see on this example that actually the pink diamonds are higher than the lowest listed price. So the lowest listed price started on October 16th, where Steve's just hovering his mouse at £40 or there or thereabouts. And then you can see over about a week, less than a week, it dropped. But can you see the correlation between the lowest price? It then drops to around about £32, but the FBA sellers are listed higher. So this is what you're looking at. You want to look at, is there consistency across the board from a buy box perspective, because they are the competitors that you want to either price match with, or that you're going to be pricing slightly lower or higher, depending on kind of what your pricing strategy is. Then you've got the BSR line. So this is this one that looks a bit like an ECG printout. So we'll cover kind of what this means exactly in terms of it going up and down and what a sale looks like. And you can obviously zoom in using a close-up view or looking at the last week, month, and obviously we've got this currently set at the last 3 months. So it's just making sure you understand where the price is. So that's in the vertical line on the left-hand side. The bottom axis coming across is the date range. And then on the right-hand side going up, the vertical axis is in relation to the BSR rank for that product. And we can see, I think this product was sat within the toys and games category. So hopefully everyone kind of understands what the toggles are, what the lines are. And this is a really good example. These are the toggles that you want to have on. You don't really want to have used on, which comes up in black. So if Steve just hovers over the key on the right-hand side, you'll see all of the ones we've got turned on, and then you'll see the ones that we've got turned off. So these are the ones really that you want turned on. They're the ones that you want to be looking at when you're analysing your keeper graph, and also looking at the last month and the last 3 months and potentially the last year to see what the consistency is and what the trends were as well. Because what happens in summer, usually we get good weather sometimes, but everyone's out in their garden. I'm sure everyone's out in their garden and they're going on bike rides for their half-hour healthy exercise per day. I tried to get my little toddler a bike helmet the other day and from Halfords, and it was absolutely ridiculous trying to get anything online. So looking at trends as well, not going too deep into them, but thinking, okay, we've got summer coming up, the kids are off school, they're probably not going to go back before September. So actually, what can I look at within, if you're engaged in the toys and games category, but also garden and outdoors, DIY. Lots of people are doing up their houses if they've got time because they're at home, they're decorating, they're doing things in the garden. So really kind of think about that and start having a look when you are sourcing online to see what you can find that you can obviously resell. So on the next slide, Steve, we can see again the category of toys and games, and on this one we can see then the orange shaded section towards the end of the graph. Now that indicates that Amazon, because we've got them toggled on within the key, Amazon is on this listing and they're currently in stock because that's indicated as the orange shaded section. So my key question here would be, are they sharing the buy box? Because they weren't the previous time, from around about December all the way to fairly consistent. Sales weren't too bad on this one. It's within the toys and games, so it was way under 5,000 BSR, which is a really fast seller. But then suddenly Amazon's come on the listing. So whenever you're looking at keeper graphs, you want to ask yourself, okay, if Amazon's on the listing, are they sharing the buy box? And there's two ways that you can do it. You can either hover over the pink diamonds, or it's now actually a pink line. And when you do that, a pop-up box appears and it will say either FBA seller or it will say Amazon. And if you hover across all of the pink diamonds for that period of time that the orange shaded section is present on the graph, and every single pop-up says Amazon, it's telling you that they're not sharing the buy box. So you probably want to tread a bit carefully, because the chances are if they're not sharing it at the moment, they probably might not share it unless they go out of stock. So that's where you then need to dive in a bit deeper and potentially look at how much stock levels they have, and work out how many sales that item's getting per month, and estimate how long will it take before they go out of stock, and you can then make that decision. So like I said, making sure that we've got good consistency here in terms of the price. But my one key concern really, this was obviously stacked, it was really profitable, you could get good stock of it and obviously send it in if you can sell it within doing a double check, are they sharing that buy box? And if we click on into the second example, to a month view, and you can see here on the bottom right hand side that we're now on a month's view, and we can see that they were on the listing until around about the 19th of December. So that's on the next slide, Steve, I think. There we go. So we've zoomed in on this now, and can you see the difference that the keeper graph looks like? So when you zoom in, you can actually get a lot more information. So we can see with the brown line, it's the listed price. We can see the pink triangles. We can see where Amazon was in stock, where they were out of stock. So at the start of this graph, they were in stock. They then, around about the 19th of December, the white section, they went out of stock till approximately the 24th, which is a bad time to grab items on Amazon on Christmas Day, Boxing Day. They bloody well do. It's ridiculous. So this will probably be your first Q4, and you'll be amazed what sales come in on Christmas Day, Boxing Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, all the way through right into January, actually, because a lot of people get gift cards and whatnot for Christmas, so they kind of like to spend some money and like to stay in as well and get things delivered to them. And then they came back into stock again, so they obviously managed to get hold from the distributor or you know, wherever they were buying the stock from, direct to the manufacturer, and they came back in again. So again, my key question would be, is this going to be a great product that I can potentially stock up on and sell during the periods if Amazon go out of stock? But I also want to probably look at the lifetime and see how many Q4s that this product has been listed for. Was there a similar trend? Because you'll find this with Amazon. Sometimes they get it wrong. And like this pandemic, for example, they went out of stock on loads of things really quickly because obviously people couldn't get out and about to get the stock that they needed. So they do throughout the year, on any normal month, they do sometimes get it wrong. So just make sure that you're kind of looking at that, looking at the history and seeing if there's any repeat trends that you can actually capitalize on as well. Steve, anything else you kind of want to add in terms of that?
I was going to say
graph that I might admit.
No, that I was just going to add the fact that at the moment the prices have gone up on most products. So when you look at the historical graph, it gives you the normal price, if you wish. So the more realistic price. So the key thing then is, what are you buying it for now, and is it going to still be profitable when it comes back to that usual price rather than the hiked price that it is in at the moment?
Definitely. So on the next slide, we're using again a similar product within the toys and games category. So you can actually turn on the list price via the toggle button on the right hand side. So it's indicated in as a red box. And this is fairly always consistent. It never usually goes up and down. There's a few products that I've seen where it happens, but very rare. So it's the majority of the time, if you did turn it on, you'd see the line. Now, this is the list price that Amazon suggests that the manufacturers sell it for in stores or online. So this is really useful. It's a really good piece of information to have. And you can see, obviously, from this example, it's around about £30. But look at the listed price with the blue line. Look at where the buy box is. So whilst this would be selling for more generally online or within store, it's actually selling at a cheaper price on Amazon. And that's really important for you to know, because it will save you time in then doing any further analysis on that product. However, obviously, if it's on the flip, so where the listed price is lower and the buy box diamonds and the listed blue line, the new price is actually higher, that gives you an indication that, okay, where can I get this product from? It may be that you're looking at an online store that it's not giving you much profit for buying it at that cost, but then where can you find it? And chances are, if you're looking at a beauty product or a baby product or even a toy, there are thousands of retailers and online suppliers out there. So you can either use Google to actually type in the title of the product, and or you can use some software called I Spy, which is free. But one of the other, you want to start to see where else you can get these products from, because it may be you can get it cheaper from a different retailer. So always use this to look at it as a moment with the retailers or manufacturer price is actually higher, then that's something that you can do further due diligence on and try and get it for a cheaper price. So here is what I was talking about earlier in relation to hovering over the buy box diamonds. So you can see here in this red box that we've highlighted, I hovered over the pink diamonds and it gave me a lot of information. So it's telling me that we have a new third-party FBA seller who had the buy box at that time, and they were selling it for £33.62. We can also see the list price was at £28.45, so the buy box was actually higher than that. And we can also then see another buy box just after that with another FBA seller that had it at £33.62. So what does this information tell me? And what's really important is the buy box at that time, so we're hovering over this one here at £33.62, that doesn't tell you or indicate that a sale has been achieved. All that's saying is that that seller at that time had the buy box at that price for that product. The only thing that actually indicates or tells you that a sale has been achieved is the BSR line. And if we look below, you can see the sales rank at that period of time for that particular buy box seller was at £9,478. Now, for anyone that's done their homework and has understood kind of BSR ranks, 9,478 in the toys and games category is absolutely fantastic. So I can see that there's been a lot of sales over that period of time, especially you can see it was December, a really hot category to be selling in as well. So on the next slide, sales rank. So why is it so important? If a product has obviously never had a sale, we should not be purchasing it. So we touched on that earlier. And you'd be taking a massive gamble if you did, because you're risking losing capital or having stock sat within the fulfillment center gathering dust that actually ends up costing you money from monthly storage fees or perhaps even long-term storage fees if it's not selling. So let's have a look at an example and dig a bit deeper. So on this slide here, Keeper pulls the sales rank data from Amazon every hour. So every 60 minutes, these Keeper graphs will be up to date or updated. So it's probably the best tool. And like I said, you need it within your arsenal really to be using on a regular basis. And as you grow your team as well, you'll give access to a Keeper and the other tools that you're using. So the sales rank, or the BSR, is on the right hand side. It's the vertical axis, which Steve will show you in a second. There we go. And you can obviously turn it on the right hand side, so always make sure it's on. And you can see here we've obviously shaded the BSR area in yellow. That wouldn't actually appear on the graph. So it's important to remember that any time a sales rank goes from a high number to a low number, so where it peaks at the top, there we go, Steve, down, and it drops down to the right, that will indicate a sale. So in this example, it's gone from 81,000 there or thereabouts down to 33,000, almost 33,500 in the same day. Now this will tell me that there's at least one sale. There's probably been quite a few, but that tells me there's been at least one sale. And this is where the FBA Multitool comes into its own, because it will give you within the widget that sits at the top of the product listing page the amount of sales that that item is achieving on a monthly basis, so every 30 days. But obviously you want to triple check and come down and have a look at the BSR. So ideally what you can do is, if you zoomed into the last month, you can actually count the drop downs to the right. So every drop within the BSR, as long as it's high to low in terms of number, will indicate a sale. Every time it goes up, which you can see indicated by the second arrow, it's not a sale. So manually you can check over time if you might need to zoom in depending on how flatlined the BSR is or how low it is, but you can check and make sure that you do 100% due diligence, and you know approximately over the last month, last 3 months, how many sales that's had across that period as well. So if we look on the next slide, we then obviously want to add in the buy box. So this is obviously the key on the right hand side, the pink one that we've turned on within this graph, and we want to analyze the correlation between the buy box and then the BSR dips. So basically the pink diamonds and the green lines. Now you can see that at the time this sales rank was at 81,296 or thereabouts, an FBA seller actually had the buy box. They didn't get the sale necessarily, but they had the buy box, and that was at £17.09. And you can see then that the sales rank then drops. So that number drops from the 81,000 down to about 35,000, which we can therefore assume that at least one sale took place on this product. And we can also assume, because of the buy box hasn't changed, that seller at the time that had it priced at £17.09 actually achieved that sale, or multiple sales depending on how big that drop was. Hope kind of everyone's following that, but essentially a drop down to the right, remember, indicates a sale. Anything that goes up is basically a BSR adjustment, because there's other sales happening within that category across other product lines as well. One other, Steve, just go back 1 second. Just one other thing that's really important to note on that graph is that if we actually look at the middle of the graph, you can see we've drawn a line under there, a line across that indicates kind of the middle of the pink diamonds, so kind of the average. And if you're looking at the price, it was approximately what, £16 within that yellow section indicated with the red line, and the sales rank obviously reduces further to below 20,000. So this showing you that whilst the price had dropped by about £1, the sales had still increased significantly. So it doesn't always work, or it's the best strategy to go lower than what you should. It's always important to try and price match, because you will get the buy box rotation and you will get the sales. And obviously anyone that's priced below you, that's using a repricer, they will eventually go out of stock, especially if that product that you're selling has got really good sales every single month. So let's look at the next slide about how you can count the sales of a product more accurately using the Keeper graph. So let's count obviously the sales using this product example, and we've indicated them on here by the red arrows. So hopefully when you come to review a keeper graph going forward, you're going to be an absolute pro at knowing when the sale happened. So we've counted 12 sales, at least 12 sales, because there's 12 drops across this 21-day period. And again, it's simply just counting, like Steve's indicating here, counting the number of drops down to the right. So across the month, that would estimate around about 15. So you should purchase this product based on the information. So how much stock does the competitors have? How many sales is this item achieving a month? And work out where you want to price. Because if you come in and you price match with another FBA seller, and they've only got 4 in stock, but this product sells, let's say 8 a month, and there's no one else on there, you're going to get a rotation of that buy box and share the sales. So 50-50 there, give or take, as long as your metrics are good, which they should be anyway with you, given you've just started and you're a brand new account. But also you want to look at the other 4 analyzing phases. So does it match? What's the competition? Does it stack? Is it giving you the profit and ROI, which obviously you would do before you're analyzing using Keeper as well. Hopefully everyone has gone through how to check competitors within the AEB course. If you haven't yet done, or if you have, it might be wise if you've got some time tomorrow to go back over those modules, so that seeds in a little bit more, and it gives you a lot more confidence, obviously, when you or when we are allowed to via retail. So keeper misconceptions, I want to cover this, and I think it's really important because you might come across, or you may have come across some keeper graphs, or you may do in future, that gives you data you think, hang on a minute, that doesn't look quite right, what's going on here? So we've compiled a few examples that we can then give you a better understanding as to, are they misconceptions, is there an issue, or is it actually the information it's given me true? So if we have a look at the first example, and on here, you'll notice that the sales rank link on the graph does something a bit odd. So you can see here that it drops down and then it comes up. And it's kind of like I suppose, a set of sharp teeth, really, and then it drops again. So this is the first misconception. It is having sales, but what's happening is every drop down to the right is a sale, but this overarching line that you can see that's jagged edges is not sales. That's basically a BSR adjustment because there is other sales happening within that same category. So always remember, if you ever see something like this, they are indicating sales down to the right, and you can see that with the arrows, but anything that kind of comes up and it has a jagged edge, and they are not sales, it's just a price and a BSR adjustment in line with other products that are in that same category. I'm always a bit wary of kind of buying products like that as well, because there's no real consistency, but I know a lot of sellers that kind of go ahead and that doesn't really faze them. Here's another example, and this one sits within the electronics category, I believe. So we can see here that there is a price line. We can see that at the bottom, it's around about maybe £5. And we've got the sales rank turned on, if you can see on the right hand side, but there's no sales rank line on the graph. And that tells me that this product's been listed. We don't know how long for, but it is listed for purchase, but it hasn't had a sale. Only when a product has a sale will that BSR then actually appear on that graph. So really important, if you ever come across this, just triple check and have a look at the multi-tool. Is it saying it's selling anything a month? If it's not, the chances are that there isn't a technical issue here. It's just not sold at all. So I would highly recommend, even if it's profitable, move on. And here you can see a really good example. So this product here went live around about, let's say, early May. So at the start, and it was just below £50. So it was live for sale on Amazon, but a customer didn't purchase it until around about the 26th, 27th of May. And that's where the BSR, thanks Steve, that's where the BSR line appears. Now, what happens after that? Does it get a sale? There's no drop down to the right, is there? So this is, again, a BSR adjustment. Other things are selling in that category. And this one's just, an overarching line going up, and it probably went up and up and up, whether or not it got another sale after we took this screenshot. So again, I would be moving away from any product that was showing up like this on the keeper graph, because I don't want to sink my money into something that's obviously potentially not going to get a sale for a long period of time. So really important to make sure that you take those into consideration. But let's look at the keeper statistics chart and also the data tab. And on the next slide, you'll see that we look at the statistics tab. It's really important. It's a box that you can simply hover over the hyperlink which says statistics there, and this box appears. And it's a great tool for in-depth analysis. So within this example, we can see that Amazon's on the listing. We can see the lowest price, the current price, the highest price that this product's ever achieved, the average price, and then the number of drops. We can also see the new lowest listed price for that product, and we can also see the sales rank data as well. Now, one key thing to note on here, which is really important, and not a lot of people know this, and I'm glad we can share it with you guys this evening, but in the bottom right of that table, where it says 78 per month, that shows me it's under the sales rank, and it's also down to the drops. So remember, we talk about drop down to the right when we're looking at the line on the graph. That's actually telling me that on average over the last month, that product's actually achieved approximately 78 sales. So if you want to do a really quick check and you don't want to count the drops because you're short of time, you could actually hover over the statistics box and have a look at what that bottom right figure is. So it could be 5, it could be 100, it could be more, but basically it's the amount of drops, and we know a drop down in the BSR indicates at least one sale, maybe more, but that will give you a really good kind of figure that you can work off, and then you can do the rest of your analysis as well if you need to. Steve, anything else on the statistics box? I think it kind of speaks for itself, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, it gives you historical data as well, so you can see this is the lowest it's ever been, so it's been selling really, really well. This is the highest it's ever been, but that was 4 years ago. And so you want to compare over time as well. And also, if Amazon is selling it, look at the price. So has it been consistent? For example, it's been down to £11 in 2015. The highest was £29.64. So it gives you a good idea of how the product behaved over time. Definitely a good place to look.
Cool. Just a quick one that Steve's replied to. Hopefully everyone's seen it. We had a question from Charles saying, how do you turn on the stock levels for other sellers? So if you go into Keeper, Steve, if you hover over settings, so when you're looking on the product listing page, there you go, go down to the Keeper graph, click on settings, and then it's usually the third, I think, from the bottom. It will basically say turn on stock levels for competitors. Just make sure that's turned on as a yes, and then going forward, refresh the page, and then that will show you the stock levels. It doesn't do it for absolutely everyone. Sometimes Amazon doesn't share that information themselves, but the majority of the time you can kind of see what they've got. If it doesn't show, you can then do the 999 test, and you can refer to the AEB modules on how to do that. Cool. Just on the next slide, we want to talk about very quickly about features that Keeper have made. So new features that have come into place since March this year. So there's been a few changes. In this example, you can see a new graph which is in the middle, and that's to do with, obviously it's the green line, it's to do with the BSR, so the sales rank of the product. Now this indicates both the main category and the subcategory that the product is listed in. So if the sales rank data is changed from the main category, it's also known as the root category, and it's changed from that to the subcategory, you will see that appear within this graph. Now bear in mind, it's always really important when you're analysing a product on Keeper with the sales rank line, you always want to analyse the main category, not the subcategory. So take the information from the main category. So in this example, it's toys and games. It's not the subcategory, which I believe
Board games.
Board games, which is a subcategory. So always make sure you're looking at the bigger category and the BSR in relation to that. There's also been a few other changes, and Steve's just turned the arrow on for the buy box. So the buy box used to be indicated, like we've seen on these examples this evening, with pink diamonds, but it's now indicated via a pink line, which I think is a lot easier to read. So it's a consistent line, and it obviously changes if the price goes up, or whoever kind of obviously gets the buy box at that time that keeps taking the information from Amazon. And you can still do the same thing by hovering over it at that period on the graph, in relation to obviously the time frame that you're looking at, and you can actually see who the seller was. If you click on the little dialog box that appears, it actually gives you the name of the seller, and then you could actually potentially, if you wanted to, go and have a look at what products they're selling to get some ideas. So really great information, and we're really pleased that they've kind of changed that. It's just easier to read. Now, obviously, this product, we can see another graph which always been there, but not many people realize it. But the graph at the bottom, that gives you the information in relation to sellers. So the total number of sellers that are listing this product. Whenever you are looking at the keeper graph, you'll usually see just the top one. And what you'll need to do is just click the button that says expand, and that will then drop down, and it will show you both the category sales rank graph as well as the number of sellers. So you can see on this example in the bottom graph that it had quite a large number of sellers, just below 40 or between 40 and 30 sellers. And then what happens is there's a big drop. All of a sudden there's a drop in sellers, and that actually correlates around about the same time that we had the pandemic. Things got a lot worse and lockdown, and I can only assume that the sellers that were in stock before that hit, and there was big demand for this particular product, they couldn't get the stock quick enough to get it back in, and now you can see there's only around about 5 or 6 active sellers on this listing. But if you look at the amount of sellers that dropped off, if you look above that within the BSR graph, you can actually see there was a massive drop down in that sales rank line, and that indicates a lot of sales. And equally, if you look up in the first graph, you can see that the price was fairly consistent, and then it shot up. So it's still getting sales. It's probably at a slower rate now because the price has gone up so high. But whoever's still in stock of that product is obviously making some good money on it because they're still getting sales, and you can see that from the graph. And the only other one that they've really added in is that if a product has no sellers, then Keeper may struggle to actually find any sales or history for that particular product and actually show it within the graph. So like I said, really, now we're coming into the summer months, the kids are off school, you're homeschooling. It's a really great time to look at products that are going to be selling well, but equally you might, as a new seller, come across the fact that actually you find a really great product, but you can't sell it because you're gated. So it's also really important that as soon as you've got some sales under your belt and you've got that account set up, you start selling, you start sourcing, but also look at the ungating process. And also, like I said, toys and games is a great one to ungate in and make your first category. And Steve, how would a new seller go about doing that, and what does the ungating process all mean?
Before I cover ungating, if you want to know more about sourcing and analyzing, I'm going to put a link now in the chat box. It's a course that we've created. It's a very cheap course. It's £97, but basically it goes in more details about how to analyze products. As you can see, it's an art. It's not an exact science. It's really about getting used to it, reading a graph. And as we said earlier, 15 seconds, you should make your mind up and say, I'm going to buy this product or not. So I'm just going to put the link in the chat box right now. And I'll talk to you now about ungating. So the next step, once you're up and running, you're selling, you want to look at all the categories and try to think, okay, where else can I be ungated, and where else can I be allowed to sell those products? So what is ungating? So let's have a quick review of what it is. It's basically when Amazon is limiting access to some sellers to some categories. So it could be category related, or it could be products related, or it could be brand related as well. So that means that if you are ungated, Amazon opens the gates and you have the permission as a seller to sell that specific product or within that specific category. categories that are gated are beauty, health and personal care, grocery, among others, but these are the main big ones that are gated. So I would say to start with, you won't be allowed to sell in these categories, but don't worry because all the other ones are open. So outdoors, kitchen, PC, computer games, that's all open. You don't need to have the permission to sell them, where some categories are going to be gated. So why do you want to get ungated? Because ungated categories are where more experienced sellers are. So there's less competition. And also that means more opportunities as well. So less people fighting for the same products. And also you get rid of the inexperienced sellers who've done no training at all, because that's an important thing. You guys have got some training now. So you have a massive advantage over most sellers on Amazon, because most sellers on Amazon have not done any training. So they just send products in the Amazon warehouse and hope and pray that it's going to sell. So the fact that you've now learned how to do it, you know how to analyze a deal, you know how to really keep a graph, and when you get ungated, that means you're now going to be surrounded by sellers who understand the game more, and you don't have that penny pricing, price war going down. So that's a big benefit as well of being ungated. And of course, you're going to benefit when it's periods like Christmas, where toys and games, for example, is going to be flying off the shelves. You want to be ungated for that, because that's going to, in toys and games, your sales will be 4 times more than usual. So that's every year, no exception. So these are the types of ungating. First, it's category ungating. So that means, for example, toys and games, Amazon say, okay, this is locked, especially around Christmas, you can't get ungated if you're a new seller. Outside of that, you can, by following the rules that Amazon will ask you to follow. There's also brand gating. So as an example, all L'Oreal brands are brand gated. So you're not allowed to sell them without the explicit permission of L'Oreal themselves. And also all companies owned by L'Oreal fall under that same restriction as well. And the third one is restricted categories. So for example, the difference between category gating and restricted categories that are restricted, for example, could be like alcohol. So this requires a lot more steps. You'll need a license from your local authority. You'll need to have premises. So it's a lot more restricted. So not every seller can get access to those categories. Who can get ungated? You need to have a professional seller account, so you can't get ungated within an individual account. You need to buy products from a verified UK-based supplier. And when I say supplier, it's a wholesaler. And Amazon won't tell you which wholesalers to use. And also you need to provide VAT invoices and not a till receipt. So you can't go to Tesco, buy some products and send them in for ungating and use your till receipt. You need to buy from a pre-approved supplier, a wholesaler. You need to provide VAT invoices, and the VAT invoice needs to match exactly your Seller Central account information. So name, address, everything needs to be exactly the same. And also you need to have some good selling metrics. What does that mean? Again, positive feedback or no negative feedback. We usually say wait a few weeks to start selling and get ungated. I would say within 3 to 4 weeks, you should be able to put in an application to be ungated, but you just want to have a bit of selling experience in your account so that Amazon can see that it is an active account and that you are a true seller and not just someone who just signed up and did nothing with it. Each category will have different requirements, so you'll need to follow what Amazon asks you. So for example, in toys and games, they will say buy 10 units of the same product, provide your VAT invoice, receive a declaration of conformity from the manufacturer, and send product pictures. So these are the requirements in toys and games. In grocery, they're going to be different. So each category that requires ungating, Amazon will tell you exactly what you need, but they won't tell you where you can buy the product or which product to buy for your ungating process. So these are the steps to follow. You've got your Seller Central account, you sell for a few weeks, you keep a good account health on Seller Central, and then you request to be ungated. Don't try and get ungated if you haven't done any sales yet, but I would say don't be put off by the fact that some categories are gated, because sometimes someone will think, well, I can't buy this, and we get that a lot on deal source. I can't get to sell these products because it's gated. That's fine, because out of 35 categories on Amazon, maybe only 5 categories are gated. So all the other ones are not gated. So you have access to that and you can sell all of them. So sell in that group of categories for a few weeks, then start to think about getting ungated. In fact, this is just a selection of categories on Amazon, but the ones I would say to target first is toys and games. After that, I would go for health and personal care. And after that, I would go for beauty. And of course, many others after that. But these should be your first key ones because they're the biggest ones. So you want to get ungated in those ones, especially before the 4th quarter of this year. We have a 5 top tips to Amazon ungating. So this is a free tool that we have. I'm going to put the link in the chat box. So basically giving you the steps to getting ungated. And the link is in the, is it in the chat box here? No, I'm going to put that there.
Yeah, it's in there, Steve.
Is it there? Okay, cool. And yeah, so that's it. The bit.ly link there, that's for getting this free tool. So it's a PDF that you can download from the page you're going to go to. And this really is going to help you start shaping your thinking in terms of, okay, where am I going to go first? Which category am I going to get ungated in first? And then start looking for the tools that you need to do that. We have a course about ungating as well, so if you're interested, just let us know. But we wanted to share this free tool with you tonight and give you as much information as we can. So what's next? I would say once you're up and running, you're selling in the UK. If you've not started selling in the EU, that should be your next step. So expand to UK, outside of the UK, to France, Germany, Italy, Spain, and the Netherlands. Netherlands just opened a few months ago. Not everyone has got access to the Netherlands yet, so that's coming up. But in the Netherlands, although it's a small population, the percentage of people buying on Amazon is much higher than the rest of Europe. So it's a massive market for Amazon sellers. Also get a free currency account. Companies like TransferWise, for example, where when you're going to make sales in those countries, you'll be paid in euros. So you want the money to sit in that transfer account so that when the exchange rate is favorable, then you convert your money to British pounds. And you'll put that account detail into Seller Central for those marketplaces. So subscribe to our YouTube channel if you've not done that already. So we put out some content on a weekly basis to help you grow your business. Join our webinars. We do regular webinars pretty much every month. We do online masterclasses. We do Q&A sessions in the Facebook group. So get involved in the community. Ask questions. As I said, we love helping people, and the people in our community are very supportive. And many of you on the webinar tonight are really good at helping other people as well. So keep that going because we can help each other. And also, I don't know if you know that, but we have an affiliate program as well. So if you refer someone to us that buys one of our courses, you get 25% of the price of the course. So whatever they paid, you get 25% of that. So after 30 days, if they've been through the course and they're still with us, then you'll get 25% of that price. So it's a nice way to get your money back from your investment or to invest in other courses as well. So if you know people who might be interested, just refer them to us, and then you'll get a nice commission in exchange. So to become an affiliate partner, you just need to follow the link in the chat box right now. So onlinesellers.com/work with us. And that will give you all the details. It's going to give you an affiliate guide and the steps you need to take to just sign up to it and start referring people so that you're going to get your own link. And when you refer people, every time they buy, you get a commission in exchange. So it's worth doing because it's going to allow you to get an extra income to buy more products as well. So hopefully you found that very useful. If you are interested, we also have an academy program, which is a 12-month intensive coaching and mentoring program. So send us an email. It's help@onlinesellercircle.com. The way it works is that we have monthly calls with our academy members. It's a small group of 4 to 5 people. And then between those monthly calls, we have other calls where we do a live Q&A with them, so similar to this one in a Zoom meeting. And also we have quarterly face-to-face mastermind meetings. The one in April, unfortunately, we had to do it on Zoom. So it's not the same, but we still managed to have a great mastermind. And usually we do them in London, so around King's Cross Station. So if you're in London or can travel to London, it's a great place to meet. But if you are interested, just get in touch with us, help@onlinesellerscircle.com. People who are on the academy, basically we hold your hand for 12 months. So there's no way you're not going to be successful, because we're there with you every step of the way. And people who have joined the academy, I'm thinking about Sophie, who when she left the academy was on about 60,000 pounds a month in sales. And Lisa left at 64,500 pounds a month in sales, and she was on roughly 34 to 36% profit. So it's about 20,000 pounds profit per month in 12 months. So imagine where you're going to be in 12 months time if you join the academy right now. So just send us an email if you're interested. We don't take just anyone, and we want to make sure that it's right for you, and that we're right for you as well. But definitely, if you are serious about this, if you want to scale up your business, that's definitely something you should consider. So we're going to take questions. We've tried to answer as many questions as we could throughout the evening. Again, hopefully we provided great value for you guys. If you have any questions, just put them either in the Q&A or in the chat box, and we'll try and answer them for you. So Tadie, in the Q&A section, we have Demetrius asking a few questions. What if the limited company is not located in the UK? Can I still open a seller's account under that limited company? That's the first question. And second question, what is the quickest way to search for deals? Do you first search for the top selling products in Amazon and then try to find them online? Or do you find the deals in e-shops and then see how they do on Amazon?
Yeah, so that's two really great questions, and something we get a lot. We've actually worked with quite a few people that don't actually live within the UK in a similar situation to yourself, Demetrius. So just like on the call we had last night, that's absolutely fine as long as you've got a limited company set up, you've got a tax code for that company, you can set up an Amazon account using those details. So that shouldn't be an issue for you. In terms of the quickest way, this is really good actually. So you said, do you first search for the top selling products? Now that's actually known as a reverse search, and it's a really good strategy that you can use. And you can also use Keeper to do that as well. So keeper.com. If you go onto that website, you can actually filter some searches across various categories or product lines and actually see what the top selling products are. But also you can look at Amazon's best sellers, or you can go category specific and you can look at all of the top sellers within that specific category. Looking at that information and then using Google to actually find whether or not you can find the products obviously for cheaper at online retailers. That will probably be a bit more difficult to do from a retail perspective, even now, but obviously when the shops are open, that might take a lot more kind of admin time to do. So it's always best to do reverse searches via online arbitrage. The other options you've got is manual sourcing. So that's basically you setting yourself a target of X amount of retailers per day to go onto their website. First, have a look at their sales and clearance or offer pages and go through and see, okay, what is the discount on it? Because if it's around about 40 to 50%, the chances are if it's on sale, it's potentially selling for more on Amazon. And you can use the Fba Multitool now. It's got an opportunity or a feature that's just gone live where you can actually do a manual search. You highlight the title on the retailer's page, and then when you right click it, that can actually show you the various variations and those products on Amazon, so you can click through really quickly and see what that product's selling for. So a really great tool. We used to use Amazonia right click, which is actually covered within the AEB training, but if you've got the multi-tool, it's a lot more quicker to actually use that manual sourcing feature. The other option is to use a deal service like Steve suggested earlier on. We've got obviously the FBA deal source service. It's the only one at the moment that provides a dashboard and provides you with deals every single day of the week. The rest of them are usually kind of 5 days a week, Monday to Friday. They have kind of similar targets, but we kind of want to make this the best service for those that are living within the UK, but also within the EU marketplaces, both in terms of you living there, but also selling across those marketplaces as well. So manual sourcing, reverse search, but also a deal service. You could then look at sourcing software, but that's a bit more technical. And actually Jonathan, who I think's online with us this evening, did a really good comment in the group earlier on, saying that it is a fantastic bit of software, but it can be quite time consuming, because when you run scans, you then have to go through and remove the mismatches, and that can take some time. And that's probably best to use that once you've got a virtual assistant on board. You can actually set your VA up to just do tactical arbitrage scans. I wouldn't really suggest doing that, especially if you're a new seller, because it does take a lot of time. And also, not a lot of people realize it, but the sourcing software, so Tactical Arbitrage or Source Mogul, for example, they're the two main ones. They don't pick up deals that you would pick up if you're manual sourcing. So things like Boots, the 3 for 2, it's a great piece of software, but it doesn't pick up and calculate correctly that if you bought 3 of those products, you'd actually only pay the price of 2. And that's where manual sourcing comes into its own. And that's where our OSC team, our FBA deal source service comes into its own, and it can provide you with those deals on a daily basis. So do the free trials of the tools that we've spoken about today, see what works for you, because you might find that FBA Multitool is great, but you might not want to have Keeper because it does have graphs. Mike asked earlier, do I definitely need FBA Multitool and Keeper? I strongly advise both, because if there's ever a technical glitch on one, you've always got the other. And just obviously from the sheer kind of in-depth and advanced detail we went through on Keeper today and the information it provides, it's an absolute vital tool that I think that you definitely need as soon as you get started and you've got your account open. So I hope that answers that question.
2 questions from Jonathan. One is, if you buy products based on the higher sales price because Amazon are out of stock, then when Amazon comes back with stock, your stock would be out of price. And perhaps the Amazon price is below your break-even price. So do you then just hold on and hope Amazon go out of stock again? If I understand the question correctly, you would want, if there's twofold to your question really. If the price is higher because Amazon is out of stock and you go in, you want to go in quick. So you want to make sure that you send your products in and don't send too many products. So if you send 3 to 5 products, if it's a good seller, before they come back in stock, you will probably be out of stock. But if you say, I'm going to have a punt and buy 50 and they come back in stock the following 2 days, then you might be stuck with stock. That won't shift. So it's better to, then you'll have to make a decision. Do you want to hold off and keep it in the warehouse until Amazon goes out of stock? Or do you want to take a hit and sell maybe at break even and then get your money back out? If Amazon was below your break even price, then that means that you've not done your analysis correctly. You shouldn't buy something that is a gamble, because if the usual price is below your break-even price, it's not a good deal. You shouldn't be buying that. Yeah. Second question from Jonathan. When setting up my EU sales and bank for deposits, it says my account name is in my personal name and not my company name, so the bank statements won't match. How can I change the account name changed to be in the name? How can I get the account name changed to be in the name of my business? I can't edit.
So if you're talking about your EU bank, Jonathan, transfer wise, you probably missed the opportunity or the option to put in your company name at the start when you set up the account, or perhaps you set up a personal one. So just reach out to them. I think it's support at or help out, but if you go into your account, you'll be able to find the FAQ where you can then get in touch with them and ask them to change it over. You might just need to provide some confirmation of that, such as an incorporation statement. Alternatively, if it is a personal one and you need to open a business one, they'll give you the steps to do that. So I've got both a personal and I've got one under my company name. So just reach out to them and hopefully they'll be able to put you in the right direction. Thanks also for your great feedback on the FBA deal source. Jonathan just said that both Source Mogul and Tactical Arbitrage don't pick up the deals that our service is doing. So we, like I said, we want to make that the best service ever, and the one-stop shop that a new seller and pro sellers need to have to get consistent deals on a daily basis drops into their dashboard. So one quick question that Jeanette has asked: does the FBA multi-tool work on your phone when you're out shopping? So when you're out and about doing RA, the cheapest, the free version that you want to use is the Amazon Seller app that you can download either by Google Play if you're using an Android, or via Apple, the Apple app, and you can download that. It's absolutely free. When you scan the product, it gives you the FBA and the referral fee information. You just then need to punch in your purchase price, and it will give you obviously the profit. Bear in mind that the fees and the profit is calculated without the VAT, so you just need to factor that in. The FBA multi-tool, which is what we showed earlier on, doesn't work on your phone. It only works on a desktop. But they are launching a retail arbitrage app. There is a slight delay with the rollout of it because of the pandemic, but they are due to be actually kind of launching that officially to Joe Public. So as soon as we've got wind of that, which we'll have before the launch date, we'll let everyone know within our Facebook group.
You can also use Facebook Messenger to get the Keeper graph. So if you type Keeper in Messenger, it's going to open the Keeper app, and then you can scan the barcode, and Keeper will send you back the, if you are registered with Keeper, they'll send you back the BSR and price charts as well. So you can do that on the go, look at Keeper graphs and the Amazon app. Tracy's asking, is there any resource or way to be able to understand Amazon reports better, especially when it comes to then knowing the exact cost of fees per product?
Sorry, go on, Steve.
I was going to say that's probably covered in the modules, but the key thing is, I would say, look at your sales reports and then look at transaction view. And when you see in the transaction view, you can select the date range. And when you see a link on the amount on the right-hand side, you'll see that you click on that and it breaks it down, because there's going to be 2 fees, and for each fee they will add a tax to it. So that's how you break it down, by clicking on the link in there. So that's the best way to look at your transactions. So look at transaction view and the fees associated with each.
Cool. Lynn has asked, if I set up as a limited company and start selling on Amazon, what address of the business would I use? Reason for asking is that I cannot use my home address for business. So we actually use our accountant's address. So but if you don't go with an accountant, you can actually, I can't remember what the website is, but if you put it in the group, registeredaddress.com I think is one of them, where you can actually pay for a registered and a service address that you can then utilize and change on Companies House and use for your actual business going forward.
But if you have a limited company, you must have an accountant, and most accountants will allow you to do that. Get their address as your address for your business.
Yeah, because that goes on Amazon as well. So you kind of, I suppose, want to safeguard that. Make sure that you're using something else, not your own one.
Frank is asking, can you sell products on Amazon that are not already listed on Amazon? You can, but there's no history, so you don't know if it's going to sell well. So because of that, I would say for arbitrage, I would say don't do it. But it doesn't mean you can't do it. You can absolutely do that. But if it's not selling on Amazon right now, how do you know if it's going to sell well or not? And that's a big gamble. So for that reason, I would say don't do it.
Reese has asked about just checking the registration details for your account. So you can't remember whether you're limited or sole trader. So when you're on your Seller Central account, in the top right hand corner, just hover over settings, and then you can go to account info, and it will it'll give you obviously the information that you've inputted to check. Alternatively, you can just raise a case and reach out to them, but you can obviously check if you've registered as a limited company and put that in there. You'll see your limited company name as well as your display name if that's different.
Lisa is asking, if I want to get ungated in toys, do I source a product, purchase it from an agreed wholesaler, and then apply to Amazon for ungating? Yeah, so basically you need to find a pre-approved wholesaler, buy that product, take pictures, get a declaration of conformity from the manufacturer, and then send that in to Amazon with your invoice.
Strongly, just on that note, suggest, because we've had quite a few clients that kind of went ahead and went through that process over the last 12 months. There's been quite a few of them, and they either didn't quite fully appreciate the process. And there's quite a few things that you need to make sure you do. You can't just go out to a retail store, buy products and use a till receipt. Equally, there are only certain verified suppliers and wholesalers, sorry, not retailers, that Amazon will actually accept per category. So we've had quite a few people that have done the process. They've actually wasted quite a lot of money and then found that actually whatever they purchased, they haven't been able to get ungated. So really, really suggest that the links in the chat, download our 5 top tips guide. There's also our discounted link within that to our ungating course. It goes through absolutely everything in terms of categories. It also provides you with a verified list of wholesalers and suppliers that you can set an account up with, either as a sole trader or a limited company. And it really just kind of stops you making any mistakes that are costly. And a prime example of that is that, I don't know if everyone saw, but this evening Tracy got ungated straight away after going through the course, very quickly actually, indeed, within 2 categories. Didn't waste any time, didn't waste any money, and managed to kind of get the success that she needs. And she's now going through and looking at toys and games and grocery, which are some 2 really great categories to kind of get ungated in. So full steam ahead, get the course, get the guide, and follow the steps, and you shouldn't have any issues. We are the only provider from an ungating course perspective that has had 100% success rate. And if you do hit any hurdles, please reach out to us, and by all means, if you've got the course, we'll answer any questions that you've got.
William's asking, what's the quickest route to get ungated, engage a prep center, and get a VA to source products? So hands-off approach. I already use FBA Deal Source. Thanks for that, William. Basically, I would say quickest way would be ungated after about 3 to 4 weeks selling. Tracy's for a good example of that. She's been selling for about a month now, so she's just been ungated in a few categories. Prep Center would probably come in about around the same time. It depends how much you love prepping and also how much space or time you have. But I would say definitely start talking to Prep Center now. And a VA, I would probably, personally, I would say get an extra set of deals. So FBA Deal Source, you could say, I'm going to get another set of deals at £78. And then you've got double the deals every day before getting a VA, but that's a personal preference. Why? Because although VA is only $300 a month and they're going to give you your own deals, it's going to take time and effort for them to be trained by you so that they source exactly according to your criteria. Where if you get 2 sets of deals from FBA Deal Source, you're going to have quality deals day in, day out, 7 days a week. So to start with, I would say that's probably the best way and the quickest way and the most hands-off way, because to get a VA, they don't come already trained in sourcing. So you need to invest time and effort. So if you're limited for time, I would say just buy more deals from a company like Deal Source, for example.
Yeah, just on that note, Steve, it's a really good point. A lot of people kind of go full steam ahead and get their VA on board and then realize, oh my God, why are they not providing me with consistent deals? The deals that they're providing me with isn't within the category that I've set, etc., etc. And it's really important that you've got your systems in place. We've actually just completed about a month ago a 2-week challenge with free of charge to all of our academy members, and the majority of them that took part in that challenge have actually successfully onboarded their own sourcing VA, and they said that it was probably one of the most intense 2 weeks that they've had on the academy, but they learned so much. So it was me basically with them every other evening, going through the steps, holding their hand, and at the end of that 2-week challenge they have got a sourcing VA that is specifically sourcing in a category. They've got all the tools set up, they've given access where access is required. So there is a lot to it. And yes, there was a question that's come in, do we have a source of VAs where we recruit? Yeah, we absolutely do. Me and Steve are actually thinking about rolling that challenge out to the wider community. So watch this space. Obviously take as much action as you can in the meantime to ensure that you're using the right tools, that you are getting ungated, because that's also really key. You don't want to take on a VA if you're still gated in certain categories that actually are going to unlock more profit and more opportunity for you to resell, because they're the categories you want your VAs to source in. But when we're at that stage within the next month or so, we will be inviting everyone that is a client of ours to attend that challenge. And if you're ready, fantastic, and we can obviously help you go through that process. Alternatively, if you are interested in the academy, you actually get that 2-week challenge, all the templates, all the training materials that you can share with your VA absolutely free through that academy 12-month process as well.
Jess is asking, if you have a set amount to invest on products, would you advise trying to have a separate pot to pay for the monthly costs? So Seller Central, Keeper, Multitool, FBA Deal Source, rather than reduce your profit from compounding? Is it better to start sourcing with a smaller amount to then be able to pay for the ongoing monthly accounts and keep your profit compounding? So I would say probably better to start with a smaller amount, put the right systems in place first, and then scale from there. And that means you can reinvest your profit every single month.
Reese, if you're interested in learning more about the academy, just drop us an email and the team tomorrow will be able to send you further information. So that's help@onlinesellerscircle.com. What I'll also be doing following this evening, guys, is sending you tomorrow morning the slides along with all of the tools and the links to them that we've discussed this evening. And if you are interested, then our email address for the academy will be in there and you can just reach out to us.
Okay, he's asking, around what time of the day does the FBA deal source update the portal dashboard with the deals? Every day at 11 o'clock in the morning. Cool.
Phil, can you just repeat about the address for HMRC? So yeah, when you register your company, Phil, you can put your residential address, and obviously whatever address that you've got the limited company set up in, that would then need to go on Amazon. But if you want to safeguard your residential address, if you've not got a business address, you can either use your accountant to use their address, and you can then put that on your notify HMRC or the company's house, or the accountant will just do that for you, and then you can change the address obviously on your Amazon account as well. Alternatively, registeredaddress.co.uk I think is one example of a website where you can actually pay for either annually or monthly, pay for a registered address for you to use if you're not going to use an accountant.
We've got 3 questions left. So Ben is asking, are you able to turn off the EU marketplaces post setting up your Seller Central account to focus on the UK in the beginning? Had a number of EU sales today from my first shipment. Yes, you can do that. You can either do it by going into the product listing itself, and when you're in the Manage Inventory edit, then you'll turn off each of the markets, or go into your Build International settings, international listings. If you look at your Seller Central dashboard, bottom right corner, you'll see all the flags. So click on Enable More Listing and remove the connection for each of the markets. So that's 2 different ways to do that.
Cool. Thanks, Ars. Do you recommend setting up as a limited company from the start? We do, and from experience, I started actually as an individual account, then upgraded to a professional account as a sole trader, and then did the legal entity change and got into a sticky situation where it took me ages to get that legal entity transfer across to a limited company. So you really need to understand what your circumstances are. So obviously Steve did a waiver earlier on. We're not a financial advisor or a chartered accountant. So reach out to the accountants if you need further advice, and we provided the link within the chat. We'll also send you the slides and the guides from this evening tomorrow on email, and it'll have all the links in there as well where you can get in touch with them. But really just understand your circumstances and do what's right for you.
And last question goes to Phil, who's asking, did you say you can buy extra deals from your standard service? Yep, you can absolutely do that. So if you send us an email or just when you receive the message from the deal service, click on help and tell them that you want an extra deal sheet. So you're just going to be charged for a second lot of deals, and you'll receive that on a daily basis at 11 o'clock. So FBA Deal Source will send you 2 sets of deals every day, 7 days a week.
Yeah, we've got quite a few clients that do that now, Steve, haven't we?
Yeah. It's the fastest way to get more deals. Again, if you don't have to train a VA is great, don't get me wrong, but it's going to take time to invest in them, money-wise, but also time-wise. And you might not get the right VA the first time around. You might need to go through a few VAs where we've done all that hard work for you. So I think it's a lot faster to get more deals from a deal service. And it's also cheaper to do that. It's cheaper than getting a virtual assistant for sure.
Cool.
Excellent. So thank you guys. Hopefully you enjoy this. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to put them in the Facebook group and we will answer them probably tomorrow morning, maybe not tonight. So thank you, Tadie. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Stay safe and see you soon. Bye-bye.
Take care.